Thompson household had always been filled with warmth. The kind of home where the scent of fresh cookies lingered in the air, where framed photos of family vacations lined the walls, and where laughter was a constant presence. But on the night of March 18, 2022, that warmth was extinguished. Because on that night, Lily Thompson never came home. Lily had just turned 18 years old. She was the light of her parents' lives, their only daughter. An honor student, a talented singer, and a girl with a heart big enough to hold the whole world. She had dreams, big ones. She was set to attend college in the fall, planning to study criminal justice, ironically inspired by true crime documentaries she loved watching. Her parents, Richard and Elaine Thompson, were protective, but not overbearing. They had always trusted their daughter to make the right choices. And when she asked if she could go to a birthday party that Friday night, they hesitated at first. "Where is it?" Elaine had asked. "At Hannah's house," Lily replied eagerly. "Mom, it's just a small gathering. A few close friends from school. I'll be back before midnight, I promise." Richard exchanged a glance with his wife before nodding. "All right. But text us when you get there. And when you leave." Lily had smiled, kissed them both on the cheek, and walked out the door. It was the last time they ever saw her. The party at Hannah Collins' house was in full swing by the time Lily arrived. Music pulsed through the air, laughter echoed off the walls, and the scent of pizza and soda filled the space. It wasn't a wild, out-of-control party, just a gathering of high school seniors celebrating their last few months together before graduation. Lily laughed, danced, and even sent a selfie to her mom at 9:42 p.m. with the caption, "Told you I'm safe. Love you." Then, at 11:15 p.m., something changed. Lily told Hannah she was leaving soon. A few guests recalled her stepping outside to take a phone call, her face suddenly tense. Others remembered her standing near the driveway, looking around as if she was waiting for someone. Security footage from a neighbor's house caught a blurry image of a dark-colored car pulling up outside the Collins residence at 11:30 p.m. By midnight, Lily was gone. She never texted her parents. Never made it home. And by 8 a.m., the Thompsons knew something was horribly wrong. Elaine's hands shook as she dialed Lily's number. The call rang once. Twice. Then I went to voicemail. "She probably stayed over at Hannah's," Richard said, trying to stay calm. But Elaine knew her daughter. Lily would never just stay the night without calling. Something was wrong. At 9:30 a.m., Elaine called Hannah. "She left last night," Hannah said, her voice laced with concern. "She said she was getting a ride." "A ride?" Elaine's breath caught. "From who?" I don't know," Hannah admitted. "She didn't say." Panic set in fast. Richard and Elaine drove to Hannah's house, retraced Lily's last known steps, knocked on doors, and called every friend they could think of. No one had seen Lily since she walked out of the house that night. By 1 p.m., the police were involved. The case of Lily Thompson's disappearance had begun. Detective Paul Martinez had worked on missing persons cases before. But something about Lily's case felt different from the start. She didn't just run away, he told the Thompsons firmly. Everything suggests she was taken. The first major clue? Lily's phone was off. The last signal pinged 2 miles away from Hannah's house at 11:36 p.m., near an empty stretch of road. "We checked all the traffic cams," Martinez explained. "And we saw something." Elaine and Richard leaned in, their breath held. The grainy footage showed a dark sedan pulling up near Lily. She spoke to the driver for a moment. Then, she got in, and the car drove off into the night. Elaine let out a strangled sob. "Who was driving?" Richard demanded. "Can you see their face?" Martinez shook his head. "The footage isn't clear enough. But we're working on enhancing it." Then came the second disturbing discovery. Lily's social media activity had stopped. No messages, no posts, no location check-ins. It was as if she had vanished into thin air. That night, as Elaine sat by the phone, praying for it to ring, it finally did. But when she answered, there was no voice on the other end. Just breathing. Shallow. Ragged. Almost like someone was trying to speak but couldn't. Elaine's hands clenched the phone. "Lily? Is that you?" A pause. Then, a whisper. "Mom." Elaine's blood ran cold. "Lily! Where are you?" But before she could get another word in, the line went dead. And this time, when she called back, the number was disconnected. By the second day of the investigation, police discovered something chilling. Lily's phone hadn't been the only one to go off the grid. At exactly 11:35 p.m., the same time her last phone signal was recorded, another phone, belonging to a convicted felon, had also stopped transmitting. His name? Ryan Carter. A 31-year-old man with a history of stalking and harassment. A man who, just 2 years prior, had been arrested for attempting to lure a teenage girl into his car. Detectives raced to track him down. But when they arrived at his last known address, the house was abandoned. And inside, in the dust-covered living room, they found something that stopped them cold. Pinned to the wall was a missing persons poster. Lily's face stared back at them, and scrawled in black ink across the paper, "She's mine now." Elaine and Richard sat frozen in their living room when Detective Martinez knocked on their door. "We have a suspect," he said, his voice grim. "And we think he's been planning this for a long time." Elaine's hands flew to her mouth. Richard's face was drained of color. "But we need to act fast. Because if Ryan Carter really had Lily, they were already running out of time." The Thompson household, once a place of warmth, had become a war zone of grief and panic. Elaine sat at the kitchen table, her hands trembling as she gripped a cup of untouched coffee. Richard paced the room, his face twisted with rage and helplessness. Every ring of the phone made them jump. Every second without news felt like torture. Detective Paul Martinez had been working non-stop since Lily's disappearance. He had seen many missing persons cases in his career, but something about this one gnawed at his gut. This wasn't a girl who had run away. Someone had taken her. And the prime suspect? Ryan Carter. A 31-year-old man with a dark past. A repeat offender when it came to harassing young girls. Someone who had already been caught trying to lure a teenager into his car before. But he had slipped through the cracks of the justice system, and now, he was gone. Martinez sat across from Richard and Elaine, rubbing his tired eyes. "We've got a unit tracking Carter's last known whereabouts. We're checking bank transactions, street cameras, any possible leads." Elaine clutched her chest. "That's not enough. He's had her for 2 days, what if she's—" Richard cut her off, his voice thick with emotion. "Don't say it." Martinez leaned forward, his jaw tight. "Listen to me. I've seen cases like this before. Every hour counts. But I promise you, we will find her." The search of Ryan Carter's abandoned home had already revealed disturbing clues. Detectives found a folder labeled her. Inside were dozens of photographs of Lily. Some were harmless, screenshots from social media. Others were more sinister, blurry, zoomed-in images taken from a distance. Notes were scrawled in the margins. "She always takes the same route home. Wears a red hoodie on Fridays. She smiled at me today. She wants this." Then, at the bottom of the stack, a handwritten letter chilled Martinez to his core. "I'm tired of waiting. She doesn't see it yet, but she belongs with me. And soon, she will." The last line sent a wave of nausea through him. "It's almost time." As detectives re-interviewed partygoers, a new detail emerged. One of the guests mentioned seeing a man outside the house that night. He wasn't part of the party, they said hesitantly. "Just watching." Martinez's pulse quickened. "Describe him." The witness frowned, trying to remember. "Tall. Mid-30s, maybe. He had a baseball cap pulled low. I only noticed him because Lily looked at him for a second before going back inside. She seemed off." Elaine gripped Richard's arm, her voice barely a whisper. "It was him." Martinez nodded grimly. Ryan Carter had been there. Watching. Waiting. At 3:17 a.m., Elaine's phone rang. Unknown number. Her hands trembled as she answered. "Hello?" A long silence. Then, a man's voice. "She's beautiful, isn't she?" Elaine's blood turned to ice. "Who is this? Where's my daughter?" The voice chuckled, low, mocking. "She's mine now." And then the line went dead. Elaine screamed. Richard snatched the phone, his entire body shaking. "Trace the call," he roared at Martinez. Martinez had already dialed his tech team. But when the results came in, his stomach dropped. The call was untraceable. Ryan Carter had planned this. And worst of all, he was enjoying the game. The next morning, a jogger made a chilling discovery. Buried under a pile of leaves in a dense forest 5 miles from Hannah Collins' house. A phone. Cracked. Mud-streaked. Partially buried beneath leaves. Lily's phone. Martinez rushed to the scene. His hands shook as he picked up the device. The screen was shattered, but when they powered it on, there was one unsent text message. "Mom. Help. He..." The message ended abruptly. Elaine collapsed, sobbing. She was trying to reach me. Martinez turned to his officers. "Search the entire area. Now." Richard clenched his fists. "If that bastard hurts my daughter, I swear to God, I'll kill him myself." Minutes into the search, an officer called out. "Detective! Over here!" Martinez sprinted toward them. Lying on the damp forest floor was a small piece of red fabric. Torn. Blood-stained. Elaine gasped. "That's Lily's hoodie." Martinez's jaw tightened. She was here. Nearby, they found footprints. Signs of a struggle. And something even worse. A handprint smeared in blood, pressed against the bark of a tree. Martinez's stomach twisted. Lily had fought back. She had tried to run. And then, she had been dragged away. Martinez knew what this meant. Lily was alive when she was here. But now, time was slipping away. They had to move fast. And then, his phone buzzed. An update from the tech team. A gas station camera had captured something 2 nights ago. A man matching Ryan Carter's description was seen paying for gas. In the background, a dark-colored sedan. And through the car window, a blurred figure. A young girl. Martinez's heart pounded. "Send me the address. We're heading there now." Elaine grabbed his arm, desperation in her eyes. "Is it her? Is it Lily?" Martinez swallowed hard. "I don't know. But one thing was certain. Ryan Carter was on the move. And if they didn't find Lily soon, they might never find her at all." Detective Paul Martinez sat at his desk, staring at the chilling message scrawled across Lily's missing person poster. "She's mine now." It was taunting. Calculated. It meant Ryan Carter wasn't just some random suspect. He had been watching Lily for a long time. Martinez exhaled sharply, his grip tightening on the edge of the desk. This wasn't just a missing persons case anymore. This was a race against time. The house where they had found the poster had been abandoned for months. No furniture, no personal belongings. Nothing except that one haunting clue. Martinez turned to his team. "We need to track his movements. Fast." They dug into Carter's past, retracing every address, every known associate, every disturbing incident on his record. That's when they found something strange. A storage unit. One Carter had been renting for the past year under an alias. It was just 10 miles from where Lily was last seen. The team moved fast. By midnight, they arrived at the facility, a desolate lot lined with steel doors, the only sound the distant hum of passing cars. The unit registered under Carter's alias was at the far end. "Number 42. Martinez signaled his team forward. Guns raised. Breaths held. The lock had been broken. Someone had been here recently. Martinez grabbed the handle and swung the door open. And then, his stomach twisted. Inside was a chair. A single wooden chair bolted to the ground. Beside it, a set of chains. And hanging on the wall, photographs. Of Lily. Some from months ago. Some from the night of the party. And one that had been taken just hours earlier. She was still alive. Elaine Thompson hadn't slept in days. Every time she closed her eyes, she heard Lily's voice, that whisper on the phone. "Mom, what if that was her only chance to call for help? What if Lily was somewhere begging for them to find her?" Just then, her phone buzzed. She lunged for it, praying for a miracle. Unknown number. Her breath caught. Could it be her? She answered. "Hello?" At first, only silence. Then, a sound. A faint clicking noise. Like metal chains. Elaine's voice cracked. "Lily? Baby, is that you?" A shaky breath. Then, one word. Help! Elaine screamed for Richard. But before she could say another word, the line went dead. Her hands shook violently as she tried to redial. Call failed. It was happening again. But this time, they had something they didn't have before. Hope? Lily was alive. Detective Martinez's team worked fast, using triangulation methods to trace the call's last known location. They pinpointed an isolated rural road. No houses. No businesses. Just miles of empty land. But then, they spotted something. A small, rundown trailer. Tucked behind a line of trees. Almost invisible from the road. Martinez's gut twisted. Could this be where Lily was being held? There was only one way to find out. The wind howled through the trees as Detective Martinez and his team approached the trailer in total silence. The door was slightly open. A dim light flickered inside. Martinez held up his hand. Then, he kicked the door in. The team stormed in. The air reeked of cigarettes and sweat. An old mattress lay in the corner. A rope. A chain. And on the table, Lily's phone. But no sign of Lily. Martinez scanned the room, his pulse hammering. Then, a creak. From behind a hidden door. Martinez's heart slammed. They rushed forward, yanking it open. And there was a staircase leading down into complete darkness. Martinez flicked on his flashlight. The beam landed on a figure huddled in the corner. Lily. Her wrists were tied. Her face was pale. But she was alive. Martinez's voice was steady. Lily, we're here to take you home. Tears filled her eyes. Then, from the shadows, a figure lunged forward. A gunshot rang out. And everything went black. When Martinez came, his ears were ringing. Smoke filled the air. Gunfire. He reached for his weapon. A shadow darted through the room. Ryan Carter. He was getting away. Lily was still in the corner, shaking. Martinez scrambled to his feet. Pain shot through his ribs. But he had to stop him. Through the fog of gunfire, he saw Carter slipping out the back door. Martinez's breath was ragged. He tore after him. Outside, the rain pounded down. Carter was running toward a car. Martinez raised his gun. Freeze! Carter hesitated. Just for a second. Then, he bolted. Tires screeched. A black sedan peeled away, disappearing into the night. Martinez cursed. They had him. And now? He was gone. Ryan Carter was on the run. And now, the entire city was looking for him. Within hours, Carter's face was everywhere: news stations, social media, highway billboards. Armed and dangerous. If seen, call 911 immediately. But Carter wasn't just some reckless criminal. He was calculating. Clever. And worst of all, he still believed Lily belonged to him. Detective Paul Martinez sat in the precinct, staring at the map covered in red circles and lines. Everywhere Carter had lived. Everywhere he worked. Everywhere he might try to hide. But Martinez knew one thing. Carter wasn't hiding. He was planning his next move. And this wasn't over. Lily Thompson was finally safe. But she was far from okay. She sat in her hospital bed, her wrists still bruised from the restraints. Her parents, Elaine and Richard, hadn't left her side. Elaine gently brushed Lily's hair back. "You're home, baby. You're safe." Lily's voice was hoarse. "He said he was never going to let me go." Richard clenched his fists. "If the police don't find him first, I will." Elaine shot him a sharp look. "Don't talk like that." But deep down, they all knew the truth. Ryan Carter wouldn't stop. Not until he was dead, or behind bars. Just as Martinez was about to leave the station, an officer rushed in. "Detective, you need to see this." Martinez frowned. "What is it?" The officer handed him a burner phone. "We found this outside the hospital. Someone left it near the entrance." Martinez's stomach dropped. There was only one message on the screen. A video. He hit play. The screen flickered. At first, only darkness. Then, Carter's voice. Low. Raspy. Too calm. You think it's over? It's not. She belongs to me. And I always take back what's mine. The video was cut off. Martinez's pulse thundered. Carter was taunting them. Watching them. And worst of all, he was close. Martinez knew Carter wouldn't stay hidden forever. He wanted Lily back. So Martinez gave him an opportunity to come out of the shadows. The Thompsons agreed to play along. They made a public statement on the news, thanking everyone for their support. And Lily? She would be moved to a secure location the next morning. At least, that's what they wanted Carter to believe. The real plan? Martinez and his team would be waiting. The trap was set. That night, the hospital parking lot was silent. The only people there? Martinez, his officers, and Lily, sitting in the back of an unmarked car. She was nervous, terrified, but she knew this was the only way to end it. Midnight came, then 1 a.m. Then, a figure moved in the shadows. Martinez's grip tightened around his gun. Carter. He was wearing a hoodie, trying to stay hidden. But they saw him, and when he reached for the car handle, Martinez stepped forward. Freeze! Carter spun around, his eyes wild, desperate. For a second, he hesitated. Then, he pulled a gun. But he never got the chance to fire. 2 shots rang out. Carter stumbled back, then collapsed. Blood pooled beneath him. And just like that, it was over. Lily screamed. Elaine and Richard ran to her. Martinez slowly approached Carter's body. His lifeless eyes stared at nothing. The nightmare was over. Lily was finally safe. And Carter? He would never hurt anyone again. Weeks later, as Lily tried to rebuild her life, a detective handed Martinez a box of Carter's belongings. Among them, a stack of old letters. Letters addressed to Lily. Martinez opened one. The words inside made his blood run cold. I've been waiting for you since the first time I saw you. You don't know me yet, but we're meant to be together. One day, you'll understand. Martinez clenched his jaw. Carter had been planning this for years. Watching. Waiting. And if they hadn't stopped him, Lily would have never been found. As the sun set over the Thompson house, Lily finally felt free. She was safe. Alive. But in the back of her mind, she couldn't shake the feeling that somewhere, out there, someone else was watching. Because monsters like Carter, they were never alone. And sometimes, the real horror is just beginning.